It's Power Hour LSU.
Let's freaking go. You're taking a look at the one image that very well could determine LSU season next year. This would be by far the biggest transfer portal land of the cycle, because when Jordan Seaton entered the portal, look, there are plenty of teams that already have a quarterback, but every team in the country would vastly improve their offensive line if Jordan Seaton would join their team right now. So you get this image. This is via the great Hayes Fawcett of On3, Jordan Seaton with Lane Kiffin and his nephew Cookie right now in Tiger Stadium. Now, I don't know if they're still there, but look at that beautiful Bermuda grass in the background. I don't know if that's Bermuda at all, but I do love alliteration. But anyway, Jordan Seaton is the 5-star transfer portal offensive tackle from Colorado. And hopefully by tomorrow, we do have a commitment already lined in for Mr. Jordan Seaton. We've also gotten a few interesting images from Lane Kiffin regarding this recruitment. We also got Jordan Seaton flying into Baton Rouge on a private jet. You know you're getting ready to get a bag if you're a big man, if you are flying private to recruiting visits. So I'm pretty excited potentially about Jordan Seaton joining LSU. And the big thing is he actually going to take that Oregon visit? So this to me is the most critical report. I did speak to a staffer a little bit earlier today. LSU does feel pretty good about Jordan Seaton, but Matt Moscona, super plugged in radio host, friend of the channel, says the number one transfer offensive tackle Jordan Seaton is in Baton Rouge and pushing for his commitment while there. Multiple reports say that Seaton is expected to be in Oregon on Monday, but his LSU itinerary stretches through Thursday, including a private dinner at the Supper Club Monday night, according to sources per Matt Moscona. Something else, Tuesday is the last day to register for classes at LSU for the spring semester. I think things can be bent. Jordan Seaton, you always give a little wink, wink, nod, nod to the administrator saying, hey, if this needs to stretch into next Tuesday, we can let this thing stretch to next Tuesday. Are you kidding me? So the roster will be set for spring football. And if Jordan Seaton can't play spring football, I don't give a damn. Leave a slot open for him at left tackle next season for LSU. So let me start with the very simple truth is that even if you don't think Jordan Seaton is the next Saron Black or potentially Will Campbell, even if you don't think he's that good, the truth is simple. LSU desperately, and I mean desperately, needs offensive line help in the most major way. Now, I will say LSU has crushed it this cycle with what they had to work with on the offensive line. I do think Alu Ba, we've already done a Patreon bonus breakdown on him. And always, if you watch really closely, I will never claim to be an insider. I will never claim to be Shea Dixon or Ian Rappaport or anyone like that. But if I do release a Patreon or members breakdown on a player, that normally means I'm feeling pretty good. We released that Bob breakdown pretty early. I was hearing good things, and he did end up signing with LSU. So go ahead, sign up for that Patreon YouTube membership. We're going to do a Jordan Seaton breakdown when he signs with LSU. I feel good about it. I do. But this is one of those things where this player has the entire country at his fingertips. Every team is going to listen to Seaton if he wants to go play where that team actually is. And look, you got to pony up. And LSU has already spent many millions, maybe even many millions more than we initially thought. But here's the thing, and I got to give Lane Kiffin a lot of credit for this, but more importantly, I had to give Verge Osbury and the LSU brass this. They are putting their money where their mouth is. And I want you to think, before we break down any of these other transfer portal additions, including a very interesting running back that kind of flew under the radar, I want to look at you. This is a large-scale thing regarding LSU football. I understand that just a few months ago, we thought with the circus that was going on, whether it was the governor speaking or was Verge the AD or any of that, the truth remains the same. We got our you-know-what in order. We got ourselves a big-time coach. We got ourselves a big-time staff. We even put more money into that staff. Even some staff members that were already here got some raises. And on top of all the raises for on-field staff, for new assistants on and off the field, guess what? We still ponied up to put together the best transfer portal class in America. If that doesn't get you freaking fired up, get the hell out of here. This channel is not for you. This channel is not for you. So understand that we are a very lucky team because there's still a $54 million bar tab left by somebody else who I will not mention. And I know a lot of you feel some type of way watching Omar Speights play the way that he played today under someone else that you had to pay a lot of money just to say bye to. But he wasn't a head coach. I think a lot of you know who that is. But I'm very excited that we are really pumping fluid into the gas tank here for LSU football to put together a pretty daggum good roster going into next year. I will say, though, that outside of Sam Levitt, who plays the quarterback position and will probably be the starter, Jordan Seaton would probably be the best player in this transfer portal cycle. He probably would be. So that's how big of a deal this is. Even though you have brought in 35 guys up to this point, there's still one more, and that would be at the most premium position, of course, outside of the quarterback position, okay? So, yeah, I wish I could crank Boosie, and you got yourself a great name. Carter Time. Let's go. That's a glorious name. Okay? So, we say hi to everyone. We had to start a little bit later because we had a few requests to wait for the Caleb Williams show. It was a great game. Shout out to Omar Speights and the Rams for winning the Super Bowl. There are quite a few of you in here, so once again, please keep the chat civil. There's always more people in here on a Sunday. And before I go any further, I know we all want to talk football, and I want to talk about TJ Dottery and the latest on Prince Will. I want to shout out Kim Mulkey. I criticized the LSU women's basketball program for the non-conference schedule. What happens? We get on the phone. We schedule UConn for next year. Then we start the season off slow, I think in part because we didn't play a whole lot of competitive games. We lost 2 close games, one at the buzzer. Flage's ankle was the size of a softball, and what do? We win 3 straight games. We blow out 2 teams on the road, one of which was ranked today versus Oklahoma, and then we beat the great Texas Longhorns at home. That is what Hall of Fame coaches do. So shout out to Kim Mulkey, and shout out to Jay Johnson and the LSU baseball team with the great, wonderful banquet. They raised $500,000. Y'all, it's simple. We are warm-blooded mammals, but Jay Johnson is a mother effing machine. He is built different than you and I. So shout out to Monster Milam and the rest of the crew. And I'm really excited for LSU baseball this season. We won't get into the other big sport that's going on right now because that's starting to get me mad, and I'm spending a lot of money to go see them play later in the week. Let's go to Clay Pontakili. So weird that we've jumped on the Ole Miss is burning bandwagon as if anything they do matters or has anything to do with the product LSU puts on the field next season. So the reason I get to this comment first, and we're going to get to everybody's comment tonight. Once again, if you super chat, all that good stuff, we'll go straight to it, is that, yes, what they do does have an impact. on what LSU does because we're still battling for players in the transfer portal. The Caden Lee transfer portal entry was very interesting. He's currently hurt. I do think LSU, if they didn't already bring in a gazillion wide receivers, you would be hearing a lot more steam regarding this. I would love Caden Lee to be on LSU's team. I know we've already brought in a gazillion wide receivers, but I love Caden Lee. I've always been a fan of his here on PHL. He understands the nuances of playing the slot wide receiver in the Jordan McDonald Kiffin Weiss system. So I would like that. I understand that would be like the most overkill at any transfer portal wide receiver in the history of college football, but I do think he is that good. I also want to get back to the TJ Daugherty slander that has been going on over the past 48 to 72 hours to the point where it's been re-brought up in our own personal Discord. If you're a patron, you get Discord access. Link is down below. And it was Jordan in our Discord. He's a very sharp guy. Everyone's bringing up TJ Daugherty's PFF grade. And for that, I say, hey, there is some justice to that. TJ Daugherty is a very hot and cold player. But I keep going back to TJ Daugherty playing 150 more snaps than any other Ole Miss defender. And if you play that many more snaps, there's just going to be more downside. I truly do believe that, even though many stat nerds will tell you it's the opposite. If you have a larger sample size, it will give us a better idea of who you are as a player. But if you play 150 more snaps, and of those 1,000 snaps that Ole Miss played this season, TJ Daugherty, I think, played like 900 of them, you are going to not have as much chemistry with the players around you. You're just going to be playing more tired football, especially at the frantic pace Ole Miss games actually go. So I do think the PFF grade is a little unfair to TJ Daugherty. And the thing that I really do like about him coming over, because that was probably the most vitriolic move up to this point, outside of course, Lane and the staff going from Ole Miss to LSU. A lot of people are slandering Daugherty over there in that other town in Mississippi. But I do think Daugherty's good. I also like that someone from that Ole Miss defense is coming over for the LSU defense. All right. I will also say this, based on what I know about how LSU feels about Devon Keys, they're high on Keys still. They are. And I still think Keys has a good chance to win one of the traditional two off-ball linebacker positions alongside Whit Weeks. And then you also have to factor in that Whit, of course, is injury prone. So you want depth at that position. And I still am a believer in Devon Keys. I do think the most likely scenario is it will be the Daugherty and Whit Weeks show next year at linebacker. Okay? So there you go. Now, next thing, I want to talk about Prince Will, the defensive end. Older brother was one of my favorite SEC players. I remember at the beginning of the Florida season, I listed, and if Prince Will is watching this, I'm always straight up with all of my old commentary. His older brother, Princely, I was a hater. I'm not going to lie, I was a hater. And at the beginning of his second to last season, the season before he went and transferred over to Ole Miss, I was like, man, I think Prince is a little overrated. And what did he do? Well, he shut me up. Okay. Then he goes to Ole Miss and tore it up. He was a great player. Younger brother signs with Ole Miss. Prince Will has a chance to be better than his older brother, Princely. So he's in the portal, and we're trying to figure out what the heck is going on with this. Can LSU find a way to get him over? Because he already signed a deal. Ole Miss already tweeted it out. And Prince Will is trying to get into the portal, and LSU and maybe a few other schools are trying to get into this. The truth is, LSU probably needs another pass rusher to come on in, especially if Jordan Ross doesn't work out. I think he can. I think he will. And once again, it's another guy coming over from Ole Miss who understands the culture and what Lane Kiffin wants to do. And I would really, really like him to be a part of our team. Now, there's conversations about buyouts and it's going to be expensive and all of that. And to that, it ain't your money. There is no salary cap, but Carter, what about the $20 million cap for pay to play and Deloitte and the NIL oversight? God forbid a man dream here. I don't give a rip about that, okay? I dream of a world where there is a hard cap and everything is a little bit more equal, but that is not how it is right now. When the college football overlords opened the transfer portal, brought in NIL, but more importantly, or just as important in my mind as those other two things, made signing unlimited, where you can bring in as many players as you want and, let's be honest, cut as many players as you want. You opened up free agency to where players have absolutely jack diddly squat to worry about, even with teams willing to play buyouts and all of that. So, look, understand it's concerning, but I wouldn't be concerned about that. I am concerned about the future of college football when it comes to unlimited signings. I'm not a big fan of it. All right. I do think limitations could do the sport some wonders. But then again, we all know the way this sport is structured right now, it is the worst structured sport that we have in any major sporting society, college football. It makes no sense. Y'all, I cannot stress this enough. The people that control this sport do not give a rip about you. And I do feel, ahead of talking about Mason Dossett, who had one catch for 11 yards, a transfer coming over from Baylor. Stacey Gage is a running back I want to talk about quite a bit tonight, a transfer coming over from UCF, excuse me, a Golden Knight. There's one thing I really like about him, and we'll get to that in a second. And there was another commitment today in Jackson Williams, a 3-star safety out of Ryan Clark territory, Archbishop Shaw in New Orleans. Okay. All of that aside, this is going to be the single most important thing you take away from this. The SEC is at war with the Big Ten. All right. It is an all out war. And the Big Ten, if you are a college football fan, I don't think tomorrow's result means anything for the SEC other than, the Big Ten victory lapping 3 different national champions in 3 years. Impressive run. We haven't been in the title game in a while. Totally get that. But we must push against a guy by the name of Tony Petitti. All right. So Tony Petitti is the Big Ten Conference Commissioner, and he is a television guy. He does not care about the sport of football. He simply does not. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about me. He cares about television. And he knows that's where most of the money is made in college football. And his job is to maximize that television revenue. All right. And the way you do that is by expanding the playoff. And Tony Petitti is the loudest, most vocal proponent of a 24-team college football playoff. All right, 16 is inevitable. I think there's a lot of teams, even the elite teams, that have been the benefit of a first-round bye. I think those teams would want a first-round playoff game at home because you do get more revenue, and the top 4 seeds are 1-7 up to this point. But a 24-team playoff, I will just switch to the NFL. I'm serious. Like, I would hate a 24-team college football playoff. It's obviously very good for LSU. With Lane Kiffin, we're probably making it every year. If you don't make the 24-team playoff every year at LSU, then you're probably not the guy. You know, in all essence, you probably need to make that playoff a 24-team playoff, no less than 3 out of every 4 seasons. But y'all, you do not want that. You do not want that. It would absolutely gut what makes this sport so great. So I understand that the Big Ten is understanding how much more money you make when you have a playoff of that size. But the truth is, we do not want to take away the home and away all 12, or I say all 12, all 4 months of the college football season. We don't want to take that away. We simply don't. And there's so many things wrong with college football. And I am not a negative Nancy. But the thing that I value more than anything else in sports is structure. I value it so unfreaking believably much. And we are simply at a level right now and at a time where the structure of the sport is absolutely positively disgusting. And before I get into more some LSU specific stuff, there are two calendars that they need to fix. The first is the actual college football calendar, the transfer portal, spring signing period, all of that. All right. Do you want to bring back a spring signing period in the transfer portal? Do you want to keep it at just one transfer portal? Do we need to move the national championship game up? Y'all, there's no buzz about tomorrow's national championship game. None. None from the national media. It's all NFL playoffs. It has died down. This Indiana story has died down. Now, when the game comes around tomorrow, sure. But it's not there. It is not there. And I follow some of these TV execs on Twitter. They're already freaking predicting that this is going to be the lowest natty championship game in a very long time. That shouldn't be the case. So we got to fix this calendar. All right, so you have the television calendar, which is how these games are actually played. And by the way, next year's national championship, I believe, is going to be even later in January. Y'all, that's horse manure. And I don't want LSU to be playing that late in the season. Led by freaking Jordan Seaton and Sam Levitt. They're trying to ruin this sport. Let's go to Isaiah, who wants to talk about Winnie Watkins. Yeah, he's given some good interviews. He has given some great interviews. All right. Let's go to the young man that I want to talk about tonight, who is a sneaky, interesting signing. All right. Stacey Gage. Very interesting player. LSU has a thicker running back room now with a 5'11", 210-pounder. You see here, 13 carries, 63 yards, only one touchdown. He has played 2 seasons of college football. 2024, he appeared in 3 games. In 2025, he actually toted the football. Once again, 13 carries, 63 yards, and 1 touchdown. Had a 23-yarder in mop-up duty. That was his longest run for a touchdown. Watch some of his tape from earlier in the day. And look, I do think he's got a chance to get some opportunity this next year. If the Dylan Jones situation doesn't work out, he is signed with LSU. But let's just say he goes down. Stacey Gage becomes a piece of this offense as a thicker back. Remember, Harlan Berry, even though he does look more buff and he does look bigger now, is not a big guy. Same thing for Caden Durham. So Stacey Gage is a way under the radar signing. And you have to remember, this is one of the better systems in college football to be a running back. Lane Kiffin's offense is a run-first offense. They want to be able to establish that son of a you-know-what. Stacey Gage, I think, can be a plotter, right? You do worry, once again, only 1 carry of 10 yards or more, but this is an extremely small sample size. So we have a thicker back. One other thing about Stacey Gage that I do like a lot is his high school career was bumpy via the portal. He played at 3 different high schools during his time, and he never really had to carry a load. I think the most carries he had in a season was like 100-something as a part of a committee. So that is a little concerning, but this is a guy hungry for any type of role, right? If you are coming over from UCF and you didn't dominate there, what makes you think you can dominate at LSU? I understand that. But this guy is joining another room where it's already crowded. So he's used to being in this role. And he's one of the bigger guys in this room. And he'll probably be at around 215 going into next year. I think he could have a role in next year's offense, even with Caden Durham, even with Harlan Berry, even with Dylan coming over from Wisconsin. All right. So I'm really excited that this LSU running back room is bigger. Okay. I will also say this. I am not sure if the last running back coach would have made a move like this. All right. You know the one. He's at Oxford now because he last year didn't want to go use the transfer portal at running back. So really excited about Stacey. If you're watching this, if you do have one fan out there, it is me. I believe in you, Stacey Gage. Even though a lot of people look at your profile and you haven't done a whole heck of a lot, I do think you can do something at LSU. All right. I also want to talk a little bit here about Jackson Williams, a safety who they got a commitment from at Archbishop Shaw. They also got Amari Peterson as well, another corner out of Orlando. LSU bringing in some more distant recruits here, guys with some lower recruiting rankings. Jackson Williams, all right. Part of me likes this simply for the bias of mine of Louisiana 3-star recruits. I always cheer for Louisiana 3-stars signing out of high school to LSU because it's one of the hardest things to do, right? You're taking a tougher path straight out of high school to play for the dream school. So Jackson Williams, I'll be honest, I not really watched him. But when I look at a recruiting ranking like 1.6, 1.8, 1.8, I mean, we're talking about the Justin Jefferson range of recruit here. All right, we're in the Foster Moreau region of recruiting rankings. There had to have been something that LSU really, really, really liked about this kid. 6'2", so good height at 170. So I'm really excited that there's still some Louisiana 3-stars that are dug deep into the rankings abyss that can still get the signature to go to LSU. Now, of the 534 of you in here and the 1,000 of you watching on various platforms, please like, subscribe, share. In particular, if you're watching on Facebook, please share it on other Facebook groups. I'm not great at the Facebook algorithm stuff, as I've always said. But let me share one thing here about the lower 3-star recruits. If there is one position in recent years where we have seen some of those guys work out, it has been defensive back, right? PJ Woodland was a 3-star. This one's a little bit longer ago, but Jay Ward was a 3-star. All right. So the lower 3-star level defensive back can work out a little bit more than the other positions at LSU where they've made that Louisiana 3-star priority and they don't work out. All right. Let's go to James. The number 2 portal class, only losing 2.5 starters is crumbling. Oof. Some folks come out of the womb designed to be stupid for life. Oh, James is calling me stupid. Ooh. Are you calling Ole Miss fans stupid? James, you've never met me before. Calling me dumb? I can't really criticize you, James, because I'm big on the super dads of PHL. Looks like you had your little man out there at the deer stand, and I am big on father-son time. So if you want to call me stupid because of your profile photo, I guess I am stupid. Welcome to the channel, man. Hope to see you around more often. We say hi to Jace Brown and the Hawaii wide receiver are Isaiah's 2 favorite wide receivers so far for LSU. All right, so let's get into that. Jace Brown is the transfer coming over from Kansas State. Pretty solid player. Played with Avery Johnson, who was a very hot and cold quarterback at Kansas State. Chris Klieman, of course, one of the better coaches in college football. They had a down year last year. They started the season off with that, back-breaking loss in Dublin. Dylan Edwards was on their team, kind of, weird situation. It was a rough season off the field for Kansas State, but Jace Brown, great deep threat. Great speed. I think he can play all 3 of the wide receiver positions. Your traditional X slot, and you can move him around, into the backfield as well. Run quick screens and all of that. Jace Brown, along with Jackson Harris and Trey Brown, have really really high yard per catch marks, and that's big for a Lane Kiffin offense. He wants guys that can go deep. He wants guys that can stretch the defense. But Jackson Harris kind of fits more of that traditional field stretcher, just pure field stretcher types of guys, where I think Jace Brown could do a little bit more of everything. But Jackson Harris, one of the earliest wide receiver commits and signatures. It is interesting if you are, let's just say you are Jace Brown, let's just say you are Jackson Harris or Trey Brown, you signed and committed so early into the process. did you know that it was going to get to this point when it comes to all of these signatures at your one position group? That could be frustrating, especially at a position at wide receiver, because we always say this about wide receivers. There are two big hurdles you have to clear. All right. You first need to play, which every position group wants. I just want to be out on the field. But the second thing is you actually want to be targeted. That's what makes wide receiver plays so difficult to please everyone. And there's so many of them. There's a higher surplus at wide receiver than any other position. Okay. So this is going to be one of the most wide open competitive wide receiver rooms. I also think this is going to be a transition for LSU fans because we are so used to the LSU wide receiver room just being guys from Louisiana, where the odds aren't in your favor that the best wide receiver on LSU's team being from the state of Louisiana or being a high school recruit, unless you view Trey'Dez Green as a wide receiver. So it's going to be a transition period. But one thing to keep in mind about the high surplus of wide receivers is that this is the first season that two full-time on-field coaching assistants are in the wide receiver room. So the wide receiver coaching will be different as the positions will be split. There's an inside receivers coach and then there's an outside receivers coach. And obviously, a lot of it comes down to what Charlie and Kiff want out of the system. But, I do think it's just going to be so different. It's just such a different way of doing things as we move forward with LSU, okay? So let's go to Brian. Since his days at USC, thanks for the super chat, by the way. Since his days at USC, Lane's offenses have been very run first, as shown by his numbers, and his two Heisman running backs he's produced. Yeah. There you go. Kyle Parker at Ohio State. I hope he tears it up, says Pegasus. Pretty interesting that he goes there. So far, Lane Kiffin is doing exactly what he said he would do. Brian Kelly could have never landed this roster, even with the money. Yeah, so I'm not just saying this just to please the masses here, but this has been relayed to me by two people I've talked to for a very long time. And the energy and effort Lane has put into this program is just different. And what makes this interesting is you don't have to really be a plugged in person to know that. Okay. Because you can just follow Lane on social media. If he's time stamping different places he's at, he'll know and you will know where he's going to be. He's always online. You could put the tweet alerts on for yourself and you could see 5 a.m. at the facility. Oh, Lane's in Knoxville for Satterwhite and Leavitt? What? That was a week ago, almost to the day. So it is different. And that's a good point by Ronnie. Let's go to Damon. I said the receivers were meh last year except Xavier, and y'all roasted me. Well, you're right, Damon. The receivers were very meh. But at the same time, all of it was meh. It was meh-head. Okay? Get it? I said meh-head. They were mid. That's a word that the kids use nowadays. They were mid. All right, what's next on the old prep sheet? Oh, yeah, we got to get to a break. I got to get better at being on time about those. Coming up next, we will talk a little women's basketball, but then also get a little bit deeper into what the next 24 hours can look like for LSU recruiting. Power Hour Network listeners and viewers, you might be consuming this content with that crick in your back that you've been trying to get rid of for so long. Take this as your sign today to book your appointment with LabourdTherapy.com. In the Lafayette region, there is no one that you will find that cares more about any different type of pain that you might have than the team at LabourdTherapy.com. Book today. Once again, that's LABORDE therapy.com, or you can visit one of their 5 locations all throughout the Lafayette region. Are you a die-hard LSU fan, and would you like to understand the complex game of football better? Well, sign up today for our PHL Patreon. This is his second touchdown. Counter G, why you're pulling the guard. We dive deep on recruiting and the transfer portal at a level that you have never seen before. Film breakdowns from so many different angles, and my personal favorites, oh yeah, the analytics, baby. I like to get nerdy. We take a look at cutting-edge statistics that help all of us understand LSU football even better. And guess what? Every new sign-up gets a Joe Burrow card in the mail for free. But we got to save the best for last. Our private Discord community of LSU fans from around the globe. Sign up today. Patreon.com/LSU football and put your name on our wall of patrons. Special thanks to everybody who's on here. Let's freaking go. All righty, we do need to shout out Kim Mulkey before we get to everyone's favorite segment, which is What Did Lane Tweet Today? Let's go full screen and we'll get to what Lane tweeted today. Kim Mulkey is one of the best coaches of all time for good reason. All right. And today was just no different. You go into Oklahoma. Come on, LSU is everyone's biggest game of the season outside of maybe South Carolina, and you just blow the brakes off of them. Jada Richard just continues to play ridiculously well. I like that she's not afraid to keep the mid-range game alive. Obviously, Michaela has had a great 3-game stretch, but today was about big foe. Scoring average down because she put up that goose egg versus Vanderbilt, and then she, was well over 20 points early into that fourth quarter. So, it's just Flau'jae being, what she is, which is an all-time great LSU women's basketball player, just women's basketball player in general. So really good stuff from this team. And, they're trying to find their rhythm. I'm really excited about what we're going to do. Mickey, if you're patient, I promise I will, because I knew this comment was coming. We're going to get to it in just a second, because I know a lot of you want to talk about the 24 team playoff. Okay. Let's get to everyone's segment. What did Lane tweet today? We got 3 days of tweets that we have to get through here. I find this interesting that Lane Kiffin tweeted a 50% off code for Ben Garrett, Spirit Ben, who called him a gardening tool. To get attention, you got to call Lane a gardening tool, basically. This is Lane retweeting the photo from Hayes Fawcett. LSU is hosting number 1 offensive lineman in the transfer portal, Jordan Seaton. Seaton getting the Death Valley tour with Lane and the nephew. And this just comes across the wire. It's literally just got tweeted. You can look for yourself. Why do you think I do this segment? Why do you think I am here? Why do you think I am live? Okay. We did get a super chat here from Julie. Thank you so much, Julie. We appreciate you. Julie. Every time we go live, she sends a nice Venmo. We really appreciate you, okay? Phone's exploding, y'all. Yeah, y'all want me just to sit here in silence until we get the alert? Connect the mother freaking dots. Isn't it crazy that the tweet came out right when we were live? Right when we were doing everybody's favorite segment. What did Lane tweet today? I'm just gonna sit here. I'm literally gonna sit here and just go live until this actually wires through here. I'm telling you, if this commitment goes through, LSU will be a preseason top 5 national team going into next year. I'm serious. I'm serious. Why? Why? And the segment wouldn't have started if the Caleb Williams overtime thing didn't happen. I waited until the end of the NFL playoff game. Just look at it. It just makes me feel warm inside. Makes me want to go grab a pillow to put on my lap. Makes me want to go eat 5 Reese's peanut butter cups in succession. Ain't nothing gonna bring me down if LSU lands Seaton in the portal here. Literally, right when we started the segment, Lane retweets the photo. And just look at it. Look at it. Oh, boy. Oh, well, you know it's a special occasion if Rick's in this biatch. Oh. We'll go to what we were covering. Lane tweeting out Ben Garrett's promo code here. God, Lane is just trolling the ops, bro. Just trolling the ops. All right. I'll spend a little time on this. I don't know why. Actually, I do have a reason why Lane continues to mess with Ben. Because you could see Ben has turned his entire identity into the hoe into a housewife thing. And look, he probably gained 10,000 extra followers from it. He'll always be connected in Ole Miss history and all of that. Sure. But sometimes I wonder, Lane is willing to tango with the ones who trash talk him the most. Dave Portnoy said what he said about Lane. Lane still loves dealing with him. Still loves Ben Garrett, apparently. And F Ben Garrett, dude. Lane was totally right to call that guy out. And Ben was like, well, I wasn't calling him a hoe. Bro, you were calling him a hoe. It's okay. But he didn't have the wherewithal to stand by him calling him a gardening tool. Now that it's all done, makes it his entire identity. It's sad. It's honestly sad. We'll keep it moving. Stacey Gage, we talked about him a little bit earlier. I like Stacey Gage. A running back with the neck tat from Florida? Sign me up. Love me some George McDonald, y'all. He's been one of the best wide receiver coaches in the country. And that's Charlie Weiss. This was interesting. So earlier, how much money is each program evaluated at per the Wall Street Journal? LSU is the 4th most valuable program per the Wall Street Journal at $1.5 billion. All right, so every NFL team that goes up for sale goes for no less than $5 billion. Every single one of them. All right, the Broncos were bought recently for $4 billion. The Commanders for $6 billion. They said if the Cowboys went for sale today, they would get scooped up at $10 billion. Lakers just went for $10 billion in the NBA. So 1.5 for a college team seems pretty fair. I would think it would be more if it was not just accounting for football. So I would guess LSU, if you were to want to, let's just say, buy the entire athletic program, you could probably get the whole thing for what, 1.7 billion to 2 billion. But Texas was number 1. Texas A&M was number 2. Ohio State was number 3. LSU 4, Michigan 5, Notre Dame 6, Georgia 7, Penn State 8, Alabama 9. I'm telling you right now, if Alabama still had Saban, their valuation would probably be above A&M. But it is interesting that all the programs 2 through 9 are about the same, 1.5 to 1.6 billion. Notice Nebraska at 1.2 billion. It's crazy, a losing program. Oklahoma, Washington, always very interesting stuff, okay? Mike Baker, Ole Miss kicker. 3 years of eligibility remaining. I don't think LSU is really, well, actually, I'm going to hold my tongue. I haven't heard anything involving that. Amari Peterson, corner, gets his signature in. Mike Scarborough, quote from Jackson Williams, who we talked about a little bit earlier. Coach Kiffin is a great guy, and I can feel his passion to continue on the legacy of LSU through the things that they have in place for us to achieve our goals. Also, Coach Olson, who's Jake Olson, the safeties coach, and Coach Raymond, who is Corey Raymond, of course, the corners coach, both impacted my decision a lot. They gave me insight on how they will see me on the defensive side. Lastly, when I was there, it was guys getting in some extra work on Saturday, which told me this is a place I needed to be. This is Peyton Houston. This is his mother, Naomi Houston. Naomi is the most underrated female name alive. I've always felt that. You go, Naomi. There's Peyton Houston with Lane, Naomi, and Peyton's dad, whose name slips my mind there. Actually, I could see it here. What does that say? Can't see on the name tag. All right. So when I saw Lane retweeted this a little bit earlier, feeling pretty good. What's up, Sam? Sam's been killing it in our Patreon and Discord. And because I'm feeling really good about Jordan Seaton, I want to give something out. What are we going to give out here? Let's do it. I gave one of these out at a card show recently. Let's give out another one. Next Patreon sign up, I'm sending you this Allie Highsmith autograph card. He signs it A high. I love his sig. Sign up for the Patreon. I'll do it for the next YouTube member as well. My latest membership breakdown of film study on Alu Ba. Okay. All right. I want to talk about Peyton Houston, because there was a big announcement date coming up for Elijah Haven. All right. So this is the 5-star quarterback out of Dunham, which is LSU's backyard, right outside of Baton Rouge. And Peyton Houston, of course, plays at Evangel, home of Jacob Hester and many other great college football players. And Peyton Houston, that's where he plays his high school football. And Elijah Haven listed a Final Four, and it did not include LSU. It just didn't. Now, the truth is that I like Peyton Houston more than I like Elijah Haven. I do. That is not a consensus opinion. It is interesting that the On3 consensus rating is the same. They feel the same way about both of those gentlemen. All right, the consensus. Now, 247 views Elijah Haven as can't miss 5-star. All right, and the can't miss 5-star quarterbacks, which are like the top 10 nationally ranked quarterbacks. That's Bryce Underwood recently. It's DJ Lagway recently. We'll see if they're actually good or not. But Arch Manning recently, he's probably going to be pretty good. And Quinn Ewers, who was fine. Then you also have Bryce Young and Caleb Williams. Obviously, they played in the NFL playoffs this year. So, I understand that with Elijah Haven's athleticism. And he was a more productive player this year. Set records, actually won the state title, avenged a pretty painful state championship loss from the year before. But I do feel when I watch both of them that Peyton Houston's better. I do. Peyton Houston is indeed smaller. But he's been more productive. I think obviously his rushing ability is really good. Haven's rushing ability is truly great. And I just think Houston vertically gives me a little bit more. All right. I just think as a thrower, he's better. So obviously the height is something. Some of these drops are really deep. But man, I just got to be honest, man. I have been on this for a while. Ask anyone about this. I have Patreon timestamp breakdowns of these guys, and I did like Peyton Houston better. And by the way, this was a time where LSU was after Colton Nussmeier. All right, and we've had Nussmeier's Inner Circle watch our channel. Okay, so I had a lot of reasons as a Nussmeier fan to want Colton, but I was like, man, I just think Peyton Houston's the best. So we'll see what their senior tape looks like. But pops for me. Everybody, welcome Real Cast to the YouTube membership. Thank you so much. Just shoot me a message on Instagram or Twitter at Power Hour LSU, and I'll send this out to you. Congrats. Welcome to the YouTube membership. And look at Chip Woodworth. Look at the puppy here. Thank you for everything you do, Carter. I appreciate it. Looks like that's a husky. Do I have that correct? Okay. Yeah, if y'all want to go all night, I can go all night until this drops. Which it won't. It'll come tomorrow. Let's keep it moving. All right, so Lane Kiffin. This will probably be the most controversial thing he does for LSU fans. Because there's only one group of people on the planet that hate Tony V more than LSU fans, and it's probably Arkansas fans. But y'all, I'm sorry, man. And I know I'm going fast. I want to make sure I didn't miss any recent tweets. All right. So Lane just tweeted out, this cookie is calling you to be our thing. I like Tingle. I'm going to retweet that. I'll Tingle. I know but here's the thing, man. I don't think people understand that LSU has the Tony V of the SEC coaching our team now. Lane and Tony V have a lot of similarities. All right. I just had a tough time just totally hating Tony Vitello like other LSU fans. All right. So I swear, if there's anything that Lane tweets that is more controversial than this one, let me know. Because anytime I bring up my personal love for Tony Vitello, I get crushed. I get absolutely positively crushed. Because And I brought this up with a guy who trains college baseball players. I met him recently at a get together, and he knows Tony personally. And Tony's like a really nice guy personally, per him. Now I don't know. Could just be that they're friends or whatever. But with Tony, when you're dealing with a smaller sport like college baseball, you need guys that are willing to play the villains. You just do. And Tony Vitello and his players did not mind being villains. All right. So if you can't understand as a baseball purist or just a college baseball fan or just as an LSU fan, yeah, you can hate the guy, but understand how much interest he's drawing up for the sport. Tony brought in a neutral viewer. Like, it's hard for me unless I'm watching the college baseball postseason, which is the best postseason in all of sports. It's hard for me to sit and watch a 9-inning, like just random college baseball game that's not LSU. But if Tennessee's on, I'm like, well, there could be a fight. There could be trash talk. There could be a bat flip. Hendricks Hill gets a retweet here from Ole Lane. Did you know that Devon Keys was tied for second in the SEC in tackles in 88 last year amongst SEC linebackers? All right, so a few of you sent me this meme from earlier today, who this guy was right here. And this is a guy by the name of McCready, Neil McCready. All right, so he is a writer out of Oxford. All right. Out of all the Ole Miss writers and personalities, he got a lot of stuff correct regarding this Lane stuff. He was one of the first Ole Miss insiders, if not the first, that was really saying, hey, he's going to Baton Rouge. All right. So Neil has a relationship with Lane, and as you guys have seen, Lane is not afraid to maintain those relationships with Ole Miss writers that might not have spoken about him in the best light of recent. Okay, but Neil McCready is good at what he does, which is covering Ole Miss stuff. Apparently, there was something he said about the Oklahoma City Thunder. I don't really know, but a lot of Ole Miss people have kind of turned on him, which is interesting. I don't know too much about it, but it's fascinating. And Lane was kind of poking at it here. It's not anything really of big interest. Okay, I talked about Stacey Gage a little bit earlier. LSU adds new assistant strength and conditioning coach Jordan Sims to join Nick Savage on LSU's new staff. All right, we talked about this a little bit earlier. $500,000 for LSU baseball. Okay. Chris Graves tweeting out an image from a Missouri visit. This was an interesting tweet from CJF Wrights. He followed me recently. CJF, a great follow in his own right. Appears that star Ole Miss defensive lineman Will Eccles posted on Snapchat that he's on LSU's campus this morning. Okay. Do I know anything about William Eccles? All right, so I liked William Eccles, war number 52 for Ole Miss. I thought they were the most underrated defensive tackle duo going into the year. So much was made by me that they lost Walter Nolan, who was the SEC's best defensive tackle last year. But William Eccles and Xavier Harris are really good in their own right. So there's this photo, and he has a geotagged that he is at Louisiana State University. Okay. Keep an eye out on this one. Okay. LSU, I guess you could say, is fine at defensive tackle. The Stephylan Green signature was big out of Clemson. But with the way the defensive tackle room has been at LSU over the past couple of years, I honestly just don't mind signing as many as you can, especially one as good as Eccles. Okay. This is Jordan Seaton.
Hey, yes. Yes. Hey, boss, we got here safe? Hey, yes. Yes.
You're good when you're private. It looks like it's a private jet to Baton Rouge. And this is the TJ Daugherty signature 1159. Happy 31st birthday to Leonard Fournette, the LSU record holder for rushing yards in a season, 1953. Fourth in career rushing yards with 3,800, and he was a 2015 All-American. Y'all, this game was the single best game I've seen from an LSU running back ever. It truly was. If you were there, you knew how hot it was, and you knew that Auburn wanted no business tackling Leonard. One of the peak LSU performances at any position. Happy 31st to Leonard. Okay. Let's get to this tweet from Lane. I keep getting asked the same question. How is it possible that these great players from all over the country want to all come play at the same place? The best way I can explain it is two simple words. That it's just different. Okay. Lane, Mercedes-Benz, and Baton Rouge. I would love a Mercedes. I wish I had Mercedes money. This car is worth more than me 3 times over. Congrats, Lane, on the whip, man. Come let me be an analyst. I will drive this car for a day, and I'll work pro bono for the rest of the year. Jordan Seaton. All right. I can't play the music on this one. I simply can't. But this was the best performance by any LSU Tiger in any sport this year. This dancing performance to this medley of K-Dot songs, it truly was great. I know it's kind of a buzzkill that I can't play the music to their dancing thing, but the fact that LSU did this and they used the actual Super Bowl versions of these songs with like Samuel L. Jackson, and the Super Bowl was just in New Orleans, and this was one of the most talked about performances in music history. It really was that good. All right, so I'll retweet it yet again. If you want to go to Power Hour LSU, see it for yourself. It really was that good, though. And yes, I will break down. If LSU wins at anything, if we beat Texas A&M in meat judging next year, I'm going to celebrate it. All right, some gift bags for LSU. Love it. Look at Joe Cox visiting the Pineville Rebels. Pineville might be the most underrated town in Louisiana. Home of Louisiana College, the Wildcats. Did you know that LSU is the 7th largest stadium in the world? Crazy. Final transfer portal numbers from Joshua Caraway. 10,965 players entered the portal. 4,000 FBS, 2,700 FCS, 4,200 D2, D3. Crazy. There's still 6,000 football players are active and hoping to sign. 40% of the FBS is still looking. 64% of the FCS is still looking. 77% of D2 and D3. Matt Bowers, he's an Ole Miss fan. Private jet. Haven't talked about Fahim Delane a whole lot in this stream. We haven't talked about him at all. Seems like that signature was old news. He's the younger brother of Mansour Delane. Played 5 games last year. I always hate to see that for a player. He was a true freshman as well, so he has 3 years of eligibility, but he has 4 years to play them. Pretty excited about old Fahim coming over. Trenton Henderson, this is a top 100 defensive end who signed what seems like a moons ago. Crazy. Crazy. And there you go. We've covered basically everything. Now, here's what we will do. We'll refresh to see if there's been any other tweets. And that's it. Crazy work, man. I did not know LSU started in Pineville. I didn't. Paul saying it was him trolling confirmed. What are you referencing here? I didn't see. Paul says good show tonight. I don't think I brought it enough. I'm serious. I don't think I was on my A game. I think this was a B game performance for me. I do. You know, I'm not Joe Burrow. I can't be perfect in every collegiate football game. Like what would I consider this performance? I don't know. I'm trying to think of an LSU equivalent of how I did for tonight's stream. It's still early, though. We're only an hour into it. I wanted to go 4 hours tonight. Okay. I don't know. But this wasn't Trey Morgan flip to home plate level. I think Lou Ba is going to start next year. I like him a lot. There was one deeper cut. Wasn't quite LSU related story. Oh, I got it. All right. So yeah, we did the interview with Landon Clark's trainer last week, and I have stated that I've discussed with Landon. I've talked some with Landon privately, just a few Twitter DMs. So, you know, Balin Trujillo was on our show, and he's great. He was great. We're going to have him on again at the end of spring. And I learned a lot about quarterbacking just talking to him. He's become a friend. And in life, who cares, you know, if Landon Clark never actually takes a snap at LSU? Who cares? I don't. I want you to come in to the school with confidence. Now, understand your place at the same time. But yeah, I want Jackson Williams, 3-star safety, recruit number 1,500 of all 2026 signees, to come in thinking he's freaking prime Grant Delpit. Come in with that mentality. I've gotten a lot of questions. Okay, so Will Eccles was trolling. Okay. I've gotten a lot of questions about Landon Clark in the interview. I did not get paid to do that. I had him on, and the clip went viral, sure, but a Twitter clip really, I don't have enough followers to make money off Twitter. I just don't. And we've done. I clipped the interview separate and put it out there. I didn't get paid. Landon went on plenty of channels. I didn't pay the trainer. The trainer asked to come on my show. So I didn't do it to push any agenda either. Didn't do it. My response is the same. I want what's best for LSU. Are there some players I have closer relationships with that were on the channel, or I'm friends with their parents, or friends of friends? Sure, I root for them because of those relationships you develop. I cheer for Gabriel Relaford because he's been on the channel and his dad's a huge supporter of ours. The Relaford family are like just the nicest, most humblest people you'll ever meet. Sure, yeah. But Sam Levitt's the guy, right? He's the guy. You paid him the money. You did whatever you had to do to get him here. So I just want that to be clear. It was no agenda pushing. And I didn't really get any messages regarding that, but I did have a few people say, why would you do that? And I even reached out to them, showed them the clip before I even put it out there. All right, I knew that it would do numbers because we want bold. To survive at LSU, you got to think you're that dude or that gal in any sport to make it. All right. I think that's part of why Matt McMahon has struggled. He's too nice. He's too nice. McMahon's nicest guy, by all accounts, apparently. Most LSU coaches are just not like that. They're nice. They got big personalities, but they're confident. They think that they are that BAMF. You know? It's kind of LSU's style. So I like the fact that Landon Clark is coming into this with that in his mind. Okay? I like that. And once again, I appreciate whoever it was that shared it on Tiger Droppings. Okay. Yogi's got sources. Well, you need to worry about your picnic basket before you come into my channel for the first time. Not that I think you're in the right direction. All right. Quickly, if there's, and this always shocks me, if there's anything that'll tank your YouTube is if you're a college football channel and you talk too long about LSU players in the NFL. People do not care, which always blows my mind. But as someone that also does NFL YouTube, it is shocking how many LSU players have had their lives changed by the New England Patriot franchise. Just one of those random things. It's like Eagles players at Georgia or Georgia players when they go to the Eagles. For some reason, LSU players, when they go to New England, that's their stop. Even ones that get hurt win a Super Bowl ring. Jeremy Hill goes to New England one year, he got a ring. Only played one game. But Caleb Chason looked amazing today. Kayshawn had the best catch of the playoffs. Will's winning. He's had some tough games here, but he's winning. He's one game away from a Super Bowl. Kev Falk. Brady is not Brady without Kev Falk. So I don't know what it is. There's always that one team for a college. So, I find these NFL playoffs to be really interesting. The thing that I'm really motivated about with the playoffs is even with Drake May playing the way that he's playing right now, which really isn't all that great. And, the talk of this offseason is going to be how Caleb Williams had all these thrilling results. I still think Jaden Daniels' rookie season was better than Drake May's season this year. And I think Jaden Daniels' rookie season was still better than Caleb Williams' season this year. I understand that's going to be the most biased thing ever. And by the way, I am a big fan of Drake May. I am. I'm not a Patriots fan, not a North Carolina fan. I'm more so a fan of how he plays. I'm a fan of greatness. I do think he's great. He might win the MVP. But what Jaden Daniels did as a rookie, a true rookie, by the way, is crazy to me. Still crazy. Now, was it a tough year? Yes. But Dan Quinn sucks. And the brains are now out of that building. So I am concerned. But I hope Jaden is so motivated by, what Caleb did and what Drake did. And he's like, dude, I'm still that dude. So, I'm still really high on Jaden in the NFL. Okay. Let's go to Trojan Fight. And part of that, yeah, you're right, Sibley. Belichick and Saban are close. Yeah, that's true. Let's go to Trojan Fight. What do I attribute the down season for Daniels this year? Injury, and I think part of it as well, this Commanders roster was very similar to the Commanders roster last year, and it's just not that good. It's just not that good. I'm being dead serious. That roster is not good. Bottom 10 receiver core. I mean, I get a fine tight end room, bottom 10 running back room, bottom 10 O-line, even though they improved at left tackle. And the defense isn't that great. Yeah, they got Frankie Louvu, but the Lattimore move didn't work out. People have different opinions of Sandra still. Bobby Wagner's a beast, but he's older. So, yeah, Jaden didn't play as well. He had that Chargers game that was really good, but I think some of that is on Jaden. I'm not absolving him of everything. And if he was sitting right here, he would say it's my fault. The Terry McLaurin contract thing didn't help out, and him being hurt didn't help out. But yeah, I think it's some of that, and he's got to be healthy. He's got to be better. He's got to be better. Let's go to Corn Pop 33. He says everyone knows LSU started in Pineville. William Tecumseh Sherman was the head of the university up until the Civil War started. All right, so I know OGs like Sibley knew that, but type Y for yes, type in for no. If you knew, I'm talking to you, I'm not talking about Corn Pop. If you knew LSU started in Pineville, I didn't know that. I simply did not know that. Sorry you heard me chugging water. But if you're to say, hey, Carter, you taking Drake May over Jaden Daniels? No. I'm not taking Caleb Williams over Jaden Daniels either. I want everybody to answer this. Corn Pop said, and it gave me a no duh. Like a no duh thing, Corn Pop would be like, hey, did you know Leonard Fournette played at LSU? And that's like a no duh thing. But I don't think most people know that LSU started in Pineville. Look at these beautiful ladies. Second place in hip hop and jazz, with the highest jazz placement in program history. There you go, ladies. This should boost the algorithm. Oh, their hats have LA on it to add to the KDOT. And they're Louisiana State University. That's dope. That's dope. The Dodgers have never looked so good, if you ask me. So Bert Allen didn't know. What's up, Bert? Good to see you. If y'all were to leave my stream to go look at the hip hop and dance performance, I wouldn't blame you. It really was that good. I would like to see what first place did, though. All right. I want to talk a little LSU baseball here. All right. Just a little. Just a tiny, teeny bit. When you win national championships in 2 out of every 3 seasons, especially a sport as volatile as baseball, Jay Johnson might not win another natty in the next 5. And I'm still happy. All right. I doubt that happens. I think he'll win another in the next 5. But man, this dude is just different, man. And it's going to be really hard for me to love any LSU baseball player as much as I love Monster Milam. I thought nobody was ever going to touch Brad Cressy for me. And then came Trey Morgan, and then Paul Skeens, and then here we are with Monster Milam. So, once again, I'm not the one to break down into deep detail LSU baseball. We will watch games together this year. We will break it down some, but I will stick with my wheelhouse. LSU football first, women's basketball second. But damn it, dude, Monster Milam. He's short, which I love. He gives a lot of his own money to the dog shelters, which I love. Dogs are better than humans. We all know that. I will take this one, and this will be the last NFL question, and I want to get into Miami Notre Dame breakdown. And if we're going to do a stream for the game tomorrow, I'm thinking about just doing a stream before the game, but I don't know. Okay. But I'll do this one NFL breakdown. What do I think about C.J. Stroud? Are the Texans failing him by not moving the pocket? I think he should run more. All right. So they shared a stat that there have been 34 deep passing attempts over 25 yards versus Derek Stingley. And only 4 of them have been caught. And 2 of them have been by Kayshawn. So Kayshawn Booty is the only wide receiver that can burn Derek Stingley in the NFL, apparently. I've done Drake May breakdowns on my NFL channel. I remember the first time Kayshawn burned Derek Stingley. It was towards the end of last year. It was a home Patriots game. They're wearing their alternate uniforms. And it was down the right sideline again in Foxborough. And Stingley had the same thing happen to him. Now, the catch today by Kayshawn was ridiculous. The throw by Drake was ridiculous as well. But Derek Stingley, once again, is, outside of Jamar and Justin, probably the best LSU pro out there. I mean, honestly, it was probably the best LSU professional player, period. It's either him or Jamar Chase this year. But yeah, regarding CJ Stroud, he's not really been that good, period. I think in the NFL, teams with defensive head coaches, it's always that much harder to be good on offense. CJ didn't have Nico, but man, this was one of the worst 2-game playoff runs in NFL history. In terms of EPA per dropback, this was the 10th worst game since 2007. So, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with CJ. I wouldn't pay him $50 million going into next year. And Rick, you're right. It wasn't a burn. The catch was crazy. So you're right about that. Woo! All right. Let's chat Indiana, Miami. Miami, 10.5-point favorites. Indiana, 8.5-point favorites. But I feel Indiana should be roughly 10.5-point favorites. I am on Indiana in this game versus Miami. I look at Miami as a whole, and I look at their playoff run as a whole. Which of these 3 games was Miami dominant in? Was it Texas A&M? No, that was a very defensive back and forth affair. And a lot of that was Marcel Reed just being fraudulent. Then you had the Ohio State game. Ohio State was one of the better teams in the field. And this was a spot where a lot of teams have struggled. The higher seed team coming off a bye overall is 1-7. Ohio State was very stale, but a good chunk of that was that pick 6 in that game to make it 14-0. Miami plays a ball control kind of style. And yeah, I look at Miami. This is not a vertical team. This is a team that, when they hit explosives, it's via yak, right? Hitting short stuff to Malachi Tony, CJ Daniels. Zero's been a good receiver for them. But for me, I don't know if I trust Carson Beck enough to go out there and win this game versus this Indiana defense. I also just think that this team is just a way better team than what they have played in 2 out of their 3 games up to this point in the playoff. And I feel Indiana is the only great team this year in college football. And to play as dominantly as they did, of the 8 quarters that Indiana has played up to this point, I would say, 6.5 of those quarters, they've been a lead. Half of that quarter was, or 6.5 of the 8 quarters, the other quarter was just fourth quarter blowouts. And I started kind of slow versus Alabama with the sacks. But, I just think Indiana's a superior team, and I think Indiana's a side at 8.5. I really don't like Miami's offensive matchup here. I really don't. I think Indiana is just so well coached defensively. I think Miami's well coached defensively. The defensive coordinators in this matchup are really close. Heatherman has been really good for Miami this year, but I just think Indiana's the side. I do. I think they win this game. I don't know if it's like a total blowout like they have in the first couple of games, but I just see this as kind of like a 31-17 kind of game. Okay. Okay. Mr. Charge. Oh, you made it. You made an account just to message me. I would have told you just to email me. Huh? And I hate to say it because we do have some Hurricane fans that support us in a major way. But give me Indiana. I'm on Indiana. I am. It is interesting, though. I do think you give Ole Miss a lot of credit. Number 2 portal class. I got to tip my hat, man. This is not a troll. Carter, stop staring. It's impolite. Okay. When will an SEC team be in the championship game again? I don't know. You tell me. I told you guys an hour ago that we were just getting started. But apparently I can't just look to see if there's anything new. Like sometimes I'll check my phone just in case I miss something, a text, a Twitter alert, anything like that. But I can't take a breather. Okay, Jesse, look, you're a fisher. I mean, most of the time you're fishing, you're doing nothing. You're packing a dip, scratching your sack, wondering if you're going to get one hook. And I take one break, and it's the end of the world. Yeah. Oh, man, I'm just messing with you. Good to see you, Jesse. And that is a great fish, too. Did you throw it back in the water after? All right, we do have another break, so Jesse was right to call me out. Coming up after this, is there a way that LSU wins 9 games next year and sneaks into the college football playoff?
Let's go!
On a journey together with Zion Imaging, I want you to see this experience up close. And me as a wedding and event DJ, I watched how everybody had so much fun with Zion Imaging. And a big reason for their success is the team. Yes, Jaron Thomas and his family started this off as a passion project, and they have one simple goal in mind: taking your event to the next level. Whether it's a wedding, reunion, quinceañera, school, or corporate event, Zion Imaging is all about family-friendly fun. And I gotta show you on this tour the high-level technology that quickly sends your video session to your phone, whether it's iPhone or Android. Yes, it's the Zion Imaging 360 spin booth experience serving North Texas, North Louisiana, South Arkansas, Orlando, and more. Give us a call, 318-469-4265. Check us out on Facebook or book us at Zion Imaging, xyanimaging.com. PHL Nation, it's time to lock in and get serious really quickly with our friends at Fortified Gulf Coast and FortifiedGulf.com. This is my buddy Ramey. He is one of many Fortified Gulf Coast inspection professionals that are doing something to help you not only save your home, but your memories.
The Fortified program got started about 13 years ago. We adopted it here in New Orleans about 2.5 years ago. It's a more advanced way of doing the roof. It adds an extra layer of protection, whereas even if a hurricane was to pull the shingles off this roof, water will still not get into the house.
So yes, your establishment is important, but what about the things you can't replace? That family scrapbook or that painting that's been handed down from Meemaw to Papaw and to you. It is important to protect that today with Fortified Roofing. And while this seems like a priceless asset, did you know it can actually save you on your homeowner's insurance up to 37% if you are in South Louisiana? Just call the number 504-444-7563. That's 504-444-7563, or visit fortifiedgulf.com. That's FORTIFIEDGULF.com. Let's go. It seems to me, historically, that would be really hard to replicate.
Because there's two things that will happen. You will arrest the mean just generally. The odds are not in your favor, in spite of and you may have a great strategy. That's one thing that can happen. But if you already shown your strategy, people will adapt eventually. And that's why you'll see any novel idea be either slowed down or overtaken in about a year. Once they've had a whole offseason to look at it and be like, okay, we can stop this.
So that was Saeem Galani. He's an analytics ace for GameOnPaper.com. And one thing that really concerned me about the LSU offense going into this next season was our third down efficiency. So we were a good third down team in 2024, but we were a better third and long team. And we were the best team in the country on 3rd and 9 and longer. And we did this interview. It's on Patreon, by the way. We did the interview, and the interview based around that it's hard to continuously be successful on 3rd and long. All right. It's really, really, really hard. All right. And the reason it is because you need to have a quarterback make very difficult throws in high leverage situations all the time. Okay. So part of why I'm excited about Lane Kiffin is that we're going to be better on 1st and 2nd down going into next year. Okay. Still waiting to see. Yeah, I don't think anything's going to happen tonight, but I kind of want to stay live. There's just too much buzz. Break the news on Seaton Carter, or break it down and show me what you're working with. Oh, man. That is hilarious. You don't want me to show you what I'm working with? What's wrong with me showing you what I'm working with? There's something wrong with that? Got a problem with that? All right. I try not to be a hater. I try not to be a Debbie Downer. Okay. But I do need to show LSU some love for finally getting an SEC victory. We did beat Missouri 78-70. But we're at Florida on Tuesday, and I will be at the Arkansas game Saturday in Fayetteville. Now, using my hard-earned money to go up to Arkansas and see them at Bud Walton Arena. So this is probably the toughest 2-game SEC stretch on the road at 2 very difficult places to play versus 2 pretty solid teams. This might be it. Matt McMahon could be it. Okay. I was going back to what Matthew Bruni said this offseason. He believed that we were going to get to the tournament. And Bruni had me believing. And I understand injuries are a very fair conversation point here. But this team really does make my stomach quiver when I think about the tournament and what we used to be. The land of Stromile Swift and Tyrus Thomas. Man, we used to have dudes, man. I'm ready for Will Wade. I don't know. I still think Tony Bennett wants the job. I don't know if Tony Bennett wants the job. Lamar Brown recruiting Jordan Seaton. Here you go. All right, here's what we're going to do. In the next 5 to 10 minutes, we're going to answer as many questions as we possibly can. If you super chat, we'll keep this party moving. Taking the Empire Wings. I haven't had Empire Wings. I've had Blue Store, and Blue Store does live up to the hype, man. It really is that good. Mike says, I don't give a single F about LSU men's basketball. You said winning a natty in men's basketball would bring the equivalent of happiness to me winning an SEC or what? No. Like winning a natty? Are you kidding me? Like I'll take a natty in most LSU sports over winning a regular season game in football. Especially now with the playoff. God. I don't know. No, especially men's basketball, it'll be our first. Now, I'm not taking a men's basketball natty over a football natty, but it would be more shocking. Oh, okay. I saw some of you have been duped by these fake LSU reporters. The name of their organization literally is BS LSU. Literally. And that's their name, is BS LSU. They're telling you they're BS. All right. If Jordan Seaton signs somewhere, you are going to know. All right. A signature of that level of magnitude, you are going to know. All right. It's just that simple. You always, with every bit of news, you should be very skeptical. All right. I'll be honest. I can't really think of like a news item that I have reported or just shared that it's just been wrong. I'm sure there are some, which is different than takes. I'm more of a take guy instead of a reporter guy. And reporters get things wrong all the time. They do. There's some things they're right about. There's some things they are wrong about. Okay. But always be very skeptical. Always, of everything that you read online. Like, these fake profiles have gotten so good of just having a reporter, fake looking reporter in a suit with semi-decent graphics. It's way worse on Facebook, though. It's way worse. I mean, there's these fake Facebook pages that get hundreds of thousands of clicks, all fake stories. And it's always made up stuff. LSU players make a statement by not standing for the anthem, or so-and-so donated his NIL check $20 million to flood relief or something. Yeah, but yeah, the NO3 guy. That's such a great fake name, though. No 3 instead of on 3. Tell him the Cajun Tig. I would love a LSU men's hoops natty. Okay. We'll take one final quick break. Thank you, Jared. Gifting a membership here. Maybe Pierce gets it. One final quick break. I'm going to make one quick ring here. Hopefully the person picks up. And there, we're going to play the old intro just really quickly. All righty, we are back. Let's take a few more once again, Jared. Doling out the memberships. Yeah, I think LSU would be a top 5 national team going into next year if you pull that off. I mean, you pull that off, you have by far the best portal class with Lane. Crazy. Crazy. But yeah, I'm feeling really good about this. All right. Baron Davis. I love B. Diddy. Baron Davis. That was his nickname back then. I don't know if he likes that nickname anymore. Welcome to the membership, Jones the Kid. Dude, look at that shape up, bro. Look at you, Jones the Kid. You know, it's interesting. So, we get a little bit later. We dive into different topics. I'm not talking Pelicans tonight. There's enough bad Louisiana men's basketball going on right now. Did a comedy show here locally on Friday. It went well. It was a lot of work. I didn't do stand-up comedy anymore. I did used to produce shows, and people like good show producers because I sell tickets. Because I developed a following doing like radio and comedy locally. So we brought it back at a great crowd, great show, great comedians. No like super big names, but just really good acts that I've worked with in the past. And it's interesting. My headliner was someone I actually started with, and she was not good when she started. None of us were good. And she just kept getting after it, and she murdered. You thought you were watching Cheryl Underwood. But I appreciate the art form. I really do. And I think about it, quite a bit because you really are in the arena, right? You're the man out there. And I think about technically when you're doing the show, you are the man in the arena. People are watching you. They want to be entertained. They want you to put together a great show. I put a lot of work in every show that I do. But I do wonder what if I'd actually coached. How good would I have been if I were the actual man in the arena? So, to those coaches that watch the channel, you guys have done 10 times more in the game of football than I'll ever do. And I'm very lucky that we have D2 coaches that watch. And, they'll correct my film studies. They say, yeah, this, I think you were wrong breaking down this play and that play. So yeah, I miss that live aspect of it. I really, really, really do. And like sometimes I'm like, damn, dude, I want to play football again. I want to coach football again. Okay. Lifelong Tiger from the 662. We give a very happy birthday to 904 Drew. Happy birthday to you, man. Guess what? My birthday's coming up in 5 days, 5 US days. I would love to DJ your daughter's wedding. I travel too. Got a very nice mobile setup. We'll blow it out. That would be my 4th PHL wedding where I've traveled. I always love those the most. It's crazy. So let's go to Jones the Kid, our new YouTube member, lifelong friend, lifelong Tiger fan from the 662. Let's go to Jones to Kidd. Man, we got like 14 new offensive linemen. Will we be platooning on the offensive line? It's a good question. No. Once you find a 5-man offensive line, you stick with those 5. Now, here's what's interesting about this, Jones to Kidd, is that football changes. There's always new trends, in particular in the NFL, that trickles down to college. And there's obviously a lot of things from college that trickles into the NFL. One thing that's been very interesting about NFL teams, and there's quite a few of them that experiment with a 6th offensive lineman on the field at one time, which is normally classified as an overload. So having a strong number 6 offensive line is offensive linemen is really, really, really pivotal. It can give you massive advantages in the run game. It's an extra gap that you have to deal with. So you bring up platooning. What if the plan is to, hey, let's see if we can actually do what Ben Johnson does of the Chicago Bears? He really made that popular in the NFL last year. You know, who else does a lot of 6-man offensive linemen? Jaden Daniels Commanders. They did it a whole hell of a lot last year. So still, it's going to be hard for LSU to field 5 good ones. You know, Devin Harper is going to come in here with a lot of hype. But at this point, if Jordan Seaton signs, he's going to start. Braylon Moore is going to start at center. I would guess Alou Ba is going to start at right guard. I do think there is a lot up for grabs. Now, if there was one man, and I want to really show a lot of love to our new members. We got quite a few new members. Let's see. According to this, it was, I want to get the name correct. Cameron got a new membership. And who got the other membership from Jared? Damn, Gina got it. I can't put your comment up, damn Gina. Damn Gina, do you mind commenting? We need damn Gina and Cameron to comment so I can put them up on the screen. That's such a great name. Damn, Gina. Yeah, so Herbert is not a real reporter, by the way. I forgot what I was saying. It was something about the NFL. But whatever the case may be. Oh, this is what I was going to say. If there is one person I hope is motivated by this entire offseason, this should be his villain origin story. He is the single most unpopular LSU player on this team right now. And his name is Weston Davis. All right. Weston Davis, outside of Garrett this past year, was the single most hated player on this team. Former 5-star per on 3. To be safe, he was a top 100 consensus 4-star recruit. And he had the worst season per PFF in LSU history. Okay. And that's been since 2014. So there have been worse players probably, but it was bad. So what does Weston Davis do this offseason? What does he do? Well, he technically entered the portal, but he didn't actually enter the portal. He stayed with LSU. And the entire offensive line left. And there really wasn't a whole lot of LSU fans that were happy that Weston Davis came back because he was so bad last year. So here's a young man that showed loyalty to LSU. People still hate him because of how bad he was. And everyone is just begging for Jordan Seaton. Everyone's just begging for something new other than Weston Davis. I hope Weston Davis proves all of us wrong next year. I would do nothing more for that to happen. Nothing more. God bless America. I hope Weston Davis looks at us in the face and says, none of y'all believed in me. Because there's not a lot of people that believe in him. Okay? Let's go to our new member. Damn, Gina. Y'all say hi to Gina. Let us know where you're watching from, Gina. You got the membership from Jared. There you go. Welcome. And we have who is the other new member? Cameron. Let's see what Gina's holding here. Oh, it's a bottle of wine or champagne or whatever it is. But you say BK was such a buzzkill. So, yeah, I agree, Gina. I wanted Lane to be the coach in 2021. All right. There's timestamps. I even have text messages with proof of that with others that I was saying this privately and publicly. And there's text of me saying this after 2022 even got going. All right. So I agree, but at the same time, we all agreed that after Brian Kelly's win versus Alabama in 2022, we thought we were going to the playoff at least once under BK. All right. So I do agree, though, this is the most excited I've been since 2019 LSU. Okay. And she's from Mandeville. So is that Mandeville? I don't know if that's like Mandeville, short for like Mandeville, but welcome. All right. And there you go. If you need to reach me, you can always do a Twitter or Instagram, Power Hour LSU, or you can email powerhourlsu@gmail.com. How about that? And your fellow member says, hello, Gina. Good to see you, Gina. I have a huge female contingent on PH. I'll say huge. YouTube analytics tell me 95% viewership male. Okay. I love Mandeville, though. I do. I didn't know they called that Mandolin, though. I guess I'm just normal, or I guess I'm not cool. Am I an Aquarius? I don't know. I'm born on January 23rd. That's my birthday. Would that make me an Aquarius? I don't do the whole symbols. I can't wait. Jones, the kid, says, I can't wait to see Feinbaum lose his, you know what, once we go on a win streak next year. I am a little shocked Feinbaum didn't do the political thing that he was thinking about. I honestly thought he was going to do it. Oh, so your wife and I celebrate a birthday together. Well, where are we going to celebrate? I'll be in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Excited. I'm still going to support Matt McMahon, though. I'm still going to support him till the end of the year. Neighbors, BTJ, Butte, JD5, Will Campbell on that 2022 team. You're right. And Mason Taylor. And Prime Harold Perkins. Great team. And Jarek Bernard Converse. Who remembers Mekhi Gardner? You know how good Mekhi Gardner was? Okay. I know when you do this, you get a lot of help if you're a hot take guy. All right. And I have hot takes. I have scorchers. All right. What I've said about Elijah Drinkowitz in the past, it's gotten a lot of you mad. What I've said about Tony Vitello in the past, we touched on that a little bit earlier, it's gotten a lot of you mad. But one take in the national sports sphere that I will always defend is Josh Allen. I will always defend Josh Allen. Always. Did he have this turnover game over the weekend? Yes. So I get into it today with this national ESPN reporter regarding Josh Allen. And this guy his name's Jordan Reed. Or no, I think that's his name. Anyway, he was getting into he said he's watched more NFL film with NFL legends in a week than I watched in my entire life, which I doubt, since I watch film for a job and people pay me for it. But it's strange to me that people are willing. It was Jason Reed. That's his name. Jordan Reed actually knows ball. He's an NFL draft analyst for ESPN. And he was like, well, I was at all these games and I know all these NFL legends and you don't know what I'm talking about. It is so important to actually watch the games when you actually talk about these games, right? Like, you don't see me on here talking about Big Ten all the time because I literally watch SEC football. Like, I spend so much time watching that conference. It's so hard to watch all the games. I watch a lot of NFL for the job. Now, I'm not a Bills expert. I'm not Cover One here, one of the best, film study channels on the planet. And then they're Bills guys. But every time I watch Josh Allen, my jaw is to the damn floor. I think they're poorly coached. They don't have good wide receivers. They never have had good wide receivers outside of Stephon Diggs and whatever you want to call Khalil Shakir. And even then, Diggs has not been that great in the playoffs for them. I just don't understand how people watch the Bills and you're like, even if Josh Allen commits a few fumbles or makes a few mistakes, you're not like, damn, this dude is having to do everything. Sean McDermott's not a good coach. They're not well managed. Did you know that the Bills GM, true story, I've never shared this before. The Bills GM was in Vegas for the LSU USC game. Or he was in Vegas. It wasn't for the LSU USC game, but I saw him in Vegas. And he was taking a phone call, got off the phone call. I walked up to him, and then he got back on I was trying to talk to him. He big timed me. Brandon Beane, he big timed me. Can't get Josh Allen help. Yeah, Josh is coming up short, but like Josh Allen never wins a playoff game 13-3, where his defense bails him out. Like, it drives me nuts when people like want to make Josh Allen as like this playoff choker when he is one of 4 quarterbacks to have won a playoff game in 6 consecutive years. Do you know how hard it is to even make the playoffs 6 straight years? It drives me nuts the way people talk about Josh Allen. Drives me nuts. I just wanted to say this publicly somewhere. Okay? Seaton, obviously. Voyager. Pierce, he's the reason they've won every big game that they've ever won. It's Josh Allen. Dude, I did not think Pierce and Pegasus would be so wrong about comparing Josh Allen to James Harden. That is insane to me. It is shocking how clueless everyone is about Josh Allen. They did. So what? He's never been to a Super Bowl. It was his job to hold a lead with 13 seconds left. That was his job. That's not even a Rick Pitino. And we're blaming Josh Allen. What? In what world? Watch the games. If you watch the games, you'll see that their entire the Bills' entire ecosystem is Josh Allen. Well, he's a choker. How? Did you watch the Broncos game? Yeah, he had the bad turnover in the final seconds of the first half. Sure, and he had a chance at Dawson Knox. That was a hard ball. Pocket was collapsing. Okay, so he had 4 turnovers. The fumble at the end of the first half on him. Interception at the end of the game, which we don't even know if that was a catch or not. I'm fine with giving that an interception. Ball was underthrown, but we can't overthrow in that spot. Brandon Cooks has got to come down with that. Was that Josh Allen's best playoff game? No. But it would be nice if he could win a game with this defense being the reason that they won the game. It never happens in the playoffs. Never. It's got to be him. But I guess all of you are just going to be wrong on this. And I will be the only one right about it. And that's okay. That's okay. And listen to P-Foy talk about this. Brandon Cooks was terrible in this game. Brandon Cooks. How many of you even knew Brandon Cooks was playing for the Bills before this playoffs began? It is nonsensical the way people talk about Josh. Okay, should he have played better? Yes. They put up 33 points yesterday? 33 points. Can Sean McDermott stop Bo Nix from scoring 30 gajillion points on one leg? It's nonsensical to people. And I defend a lot of quarterbacks in losses. Like last year, people put that all on Lamar. When Mark Andrews played the single worst game I've ever seen a tight end play in a playoff game. It was the single worst game I have ever seen. All right. But it drives me up a freaking wall, the way people talk about Josh Allen. When you look at playoff production per game, he is number 1 in almost every single quarterback category. All right. I'm not, and when I defend Josh, this ESPN guy was like, he called me a Bills fan. I am not a Bills fan. The only reason I would have wanted them to win is because for Tre'Davious White, I'm not a Josh Allen fan. Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, Tyler Shuck. Those are the only quarterbacks I would consider myself a fan of. I'm just telling you the truth about Josh Allen. All right, Keith Lacombe super chats this. He says, can someone make a Departed movie flyer themed meme with Lane Kiffin and all the Portal kids? Since that movie had a lot of stars too, we have to mock this. I don't know if Departed would have been the best one to do this for. I would think Ocean's 11. That would kind of make sense. 11 players on the field at one time. But let me see. Departed movie flyer. Let's see how this would look. This is one of the best super chats I've ever gotten. Let's see. Yeah, and then the Departed movie flyer, like the main one, it only had a couple of the stars on there. I didn't like The Departed all that much either. Leo, Matt, Jacket, Mark Wahlberg. I thought it was good. Top 5 Leo film? Probably not. I'm taking Shutter Island. I'm taking Blood Diamond. Taking Inception, his best movie. Django's better. Titanic, Relevant, where you almost got killed by a bear, sure. Imagine if Phillip Rivers had a year in the playoffs with no Peyton or Brady and lost before the AFC Championship. We would kill him. Okay, this will end all Josh Allen slander. Josh Allen is 8-7 in the playoffs with a single playoff victory in 6 consecutive years, which is really hard to do. Football's a team game. His defenses rarely play well in the playoffs or come up with that big stop in the playoffs. I mean, I just think when you look at his playoff record, it's not really that different from all the other playoff legends. Drew Brees was 9-9. Peyton Manning was 14-13. Matthew Stafford now 7-5. You know, it's not Josh Allen being 8-7 in the playoffs really isn't that much different than all the other all-time great quarterbacks outside of Mahomes and Brady, who have ridiculous playoff records. I just think it's too simplistic. You know, I really do. All right. Now, if you want to say, yeah, C.J. Stroud's not a good playoff quarterback, sure. Right? We have elongated periods of time now with C.J. not playing well in the playoffs. There we go. Yeah, I think Elway was 8-4 in the playoffs, and he has 2 Super Bowls or something like that. Yeah, I mean, it's not like I don't defend Josh for any other reason that I just think people don't realize like how great this guy actually is. I said I would do this in the past, but I'm still waiting for someone to call me back. All right, but type Y for you because I called someone during a break. Type Y for yes. Type in for no. Last time I did this, a lot of you freaking loved it, which was a shock. I did post a clip of me doing play-by-play yesterday for a college basketball game. Not anything crazy, smaller JUCO. I love doing play-by-play. My goal is to be doing college basketball play-by-play or college football play-by-play next year. All right. I love college basketball play-by-play in particular. I love football as well. So type Y for yes, type in for no. I kind of want to go one more break. If you want to see a clip of me doing play-by-play, I shot it a little bit different this time because I wanted to give people 3 different angles of what goes through a play-by-play booth on a smaller scale. All right. So you could see how hard it is to actually stream a game. All right. So, all right, we'll do this. I'll turn my camera off and let's see if I can get this pulled up here. All right. Yeah. Here we go. All right. So there's 3 different angles of this call right here. All right. Once again, I'm not freaking Iron Eagle or anything like that. But the top cam is just a camera on me. I have these Meta sunglasses on, so you can see what's going on in my little broadcast booth here. And then the middle cam is the actual game action. All right, so I'll play this. I'll turn my camera off, and I do want to make one more call here on Seaton before we skedaddle. Lots of North Louisiana flavor on the court in today's game. Floater's no good. Wow! Number 5, Spider-Man's on into the crowd. That was Torrey Caswell. An impressive display of athleticism. And checking into the game for the first time for South Ark. It's actually 2 different stars. Number 24, Zion Stewart. Home of the world-famous Armadillo Festival, Hamburg, Arkansas. And then you also have number 2, Travis Legine from Orlando. Free throw is good for Rosa. And here we go. Legine rocking the Grinch shoes. Escalera to Stewart. Jaden Williams. Escalera gets it to go. Carlos averaging 12 points on the year. Banks it home. Tough 2-pointer is no good. There's Lavion Owens. A 3-1 great battle for that rebound. Lavion gets the dub there. What a rebound from Xavier Myers. Slalom skis up the court, and he's fouled. Xavier from the 504. And with 15:32 left to go in this half, the score is 6-9. Thank goodness it's not, you know the meme. Ha, 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 ha. Oh, buddy, we'll take a timeout. Back after this. It's South Ark Stars basketball on YouTube. There we go. All right, no bueno on my Seaton guy. Or just a normal LSU guy. Don't hate on the Armadillo Festival. What's the most random Louisiana festival? Armadillo Festival's lit. I've been lucky to perform there a few times. Yeah, dude. It sucks when you get a pronunciation of a name and it's not how the athlete wants the name to be pronounced. It's crazy. I'm so ready for tomorrow night's Natty. Pegasus, I've done that one before, but that joke is so old. But yeah, I hope that call was okay. I want to call your game. Set me up the streaming software. I'll call a 7-year-old's game. I don't care. I love being in the broadcast booth. Let's go to Keith. The Landon Clark film study had us laughing. Doesn't matter where he throws it because this receiver comes down with already thing. That dude was a beast. That receiver for Elon. Daniel Michaels, it's trending well. But I will not know. I tried. I wanted to scoop this here, and I'm not a scoop guy. Never will be a scoop guy. I never want to be the scoop guy. I will take a few more here. I will. I'll call pickleball. I don't know the rules. I've played pickleball before, but I don't know the rules. Like I played 2 games of pickleball with my friend Jordan. We kind of just made up our own little rules. But I actually do want to learn. I have a racket here. I don't think I. It's a good question for Daniel. Yeah, just keep going back to Alou Ba. I mean, I really liked him. I really enjoyed watching him. Right? I just think LSU is going to be so much better at the offensive guard position with the coaching and just better players there next year. I thought Josh Thompson overall was good after a rough start to the season. So there you go. All right, so I'm going to ask this question. Would you guys like me to go live during the national championship game? Like a live play-by-play while the national championship game is going, like we normally do for LSU games? Or would you just like a live stream before or after? I'm so excited for tomorrow. I really am. All right. I will discuss with the producers of PHL. And by producers, I mean my wife. I don't know if she wanted to watch a game with me or not. So there you go. Yeah, I did get a Once again, pray for Kim Mulkey. She's dealing with a personal issue. She didn't do a post-game press conference. And I learned a little bit about what happened, and it wasn't anything with Kim, but it was something. So my prayers to Kim, and there you go. All right, y'all. We'll see you tomorrow night. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom. Once again, big thanks to our partners at Labor Therapy, Brian, Sam, all our new members, Jared holding it down, Jones the Kid, Chip, and what was it? Damn, Gina, I love that name, from Mandeville. Mandaland. I learned Mandeville's called Mandaland. Talk to you tomorrow. Let's go.